I'm sure you've heard it before, you need a limiter on your stereo bus to make it loud. But have you ever stopped to ask why? What exactly does a limiter do? What's the difference between a multiband limiter and a brickwall limiter? And when should you use one over the other? If you're not 100% sure, this video is for you. And make sure to stick around to the end because I'll break it all down and show you exactly how I use them in a real world session. Before we do get started, if you're interested in me mixing or mastering your song or would like to use some of my presets to get your own mix started, make sure to check me out at mixandmastermysong.com. Let's go. You've probably heard the term limiter thrown around, especially when talking about getting a track loud or mastering for streaming. But what exactly is a limiter and why is this so important? A limiter is a type of compressor, but it works at an extreme ratio, usually 10:1 or higher. Some go as far as infinity to 1, which basically means that once your signal hits the threshold, it's not going any higher. It's like a hard ceiling for your audio. And this is critical because in digital audio, going above 0 dBFS causes distortion, nasty non-musical clipping, and all this can ruin your mix. A limiter helps prevent them by catching those transients right before they peak out. Limiters let you maximize loudness without killing the transient, and whether we like it or not, they are part of the sound of modern music. It's part of what gives your song that polished commercial feel. You'll find limiters on just about every modern mix bus or master chain for that reason. All right, now that we know what a limiter is, let's break down how it actually works so you can start using it with some intention. It all starts with a few key controls: threshold, ratio, and attack and release. Threshold is the line in the sand. Once your audio hits that point, the limiter steps in and starts turning things down. If your peaks stay below the threshold, the limiter doesn't do anything. Ratio tells you how aggressive that limiting is. Most limiters use a high ratio, like we said in the beginning, which is, from 10:1 to infinity. So that means if your audio tries to go 10 dB over the threshold, only 1 dB or none, depending, actually makes it through. So you're really clamping down hard on things. Then there's attack and release. Attack is how fast the limiter reacts when something crosses the threshold. Too fast and it can kill the punch of the transient. Too slow and it might miss the peak altogether. Release controls how quickly it backs off limiting. If it's too slow, you get that pumping in effect. If it's too fast, things can sound jittery or unnatural. The sweet spot depends on the track. So let's pull up one of the most famous limiters, the FabFilter Pro L2, and play around with the attack and release settings so you can hear it in action. This is a track I mixed and mastered for this amazing group called Red Moon, so shout out to them for letting me use the song. As you can see, we've turned the gain up quite a bit on this Pro L to make the threshold trigger really fast. And I'm gonna bring the attack and release settings to super fast just to start off. And I'll play the track bypassed so you can hear it, and then I'll kick it in and you'll see all the nastiness this limiter's doing with these settings.
It's a good day on a good life, hear me out, I'll be talking to the new child you're trying to be, cause we don't even know when we gonna go lying about.
So as you can hear, what's happening is the attack's just happening so fast, and then it's just sounding like we're going in and out. So let's pull the attack back and you'll hear the transient start coming through.
It's a good day on a good life, hear me out, I'll be talking to the new child you're trying to be, cause we don't even know when we gonna go lying about pictures we don't wanna see. I don't really need any attention, but it is early and
So a little more natural sounding now. Obviously we're using a ton of reduction here, but let's pull the release back a little bit because see if it makes it feel a little more natural.
It's a good day on a good life, hear me out, I'll be talking to the new child you're trying to be, cause we don't even know when we gonna go lying about pictures we don't wanna see. I don't really need any attention, but it is early and I want you to stay here, love.
So now we're a bit closer to something we might actually use. It's still obviously limiting way more than you probably should, but it's gotten a bit closer to the way the original sound, which is what you want to do with a limiter. You don't usually want to use a limiter to change the tone. You want to use it for loudness. Now, one more thing to check out. Watch as we bring this release up. It won't be as punchy. It might get a little bit clearer, but we'll lose all the punch of the song.
It's a good day on a good life, hear me out, I'll be talking to the new child you're trying to be, cause we don't even know when we gonna go
So that's why you don't really want to have a slow release with a limiter, because it's just going to bring everything down and kind of lose all of the energy and the punch of what the limiter is giving you. So make sure to pull up a limiter at home and play with all the settings so you can really hear how they start working together. Now let's talk about the different limiters you might come across. First up is the most common limiter, which is the brickwall limiter, a lot like the FabFilter Pro L2 that we just checked out. It has instant attack, infinite ratio, meaning nothing gets past it. If your audio crosses the threshold, it's getting sliced down, no questions asked. And this is the most common limiter that most of us use. Next is a multiband limiter. These divide your signal into frequency ranges and apply limiting to each band independently. That means you can tame low-end thumps without affecting your highs or mid-range clarity. Super handy in mastering when you need precision without squashing the whole mix. I don't use these personally every day, but they do come in super handy when you need them. For instance, if you have a song that has too much bass, you can use the multiband limiter so it affects things differently. So not useful every day, but helpful when you really need it. Lastly, many plugin companies advertise their limiters as true peak limiters now. They work just the same as brickwall limiters, but with one key upgrade: added protection against intersample peaks. The difference is that true peak limiters anticipate and control those tiny spikes that occur between digital samples, spikes that a standard brickwall limiter might miss. This makes them ideal when you're aiming to guarantee your track never clips. But I have found that there are a lot of trade-offs. While enabling true peak mode helps you to stay technically under 0 dBFS, it can sometimes dull your transients. This is the time it's crucial to use your ears, because a few samples over here and there might not be audible, whereas the true peak limiter can kill the whole vibe of the song. All right, so now that we know everything there is to know about limiters, let me show you on this song, Bad Days by Red Moon, what I did to get the loudness to a competitive level. So I tend to use 2 limiters. And the reason I do this is because dividing it in half breaks down the work, so when one limiter isn't working so hard. The first limiter I tend to use is the Ozone 11. There's actually no ratio setting on this, but there is your gain, and then which is character, which they say fast and loud, and it's basically changing the timing of the attack and release for you. I think it usually starts around 2, so I must have slowed it down just a little bit, because the tempo of this song is only 65 beats per minute, so a slower attack and release made it work a little bit better in the limiting. We didn't discuss this in the video, but clipping and limiting can sometimes go hand in hand, so in a sense I use a clipper and 2 limiters, but I did do a little soft clipping, and what this does is it hits a clipper before the limiter in Ozone 11, and then just helps to reduce the amount of reduction Ozone's maximizer will have to do. So let me play this with and without the maximizer.
It's a good day on a good life. Hear me out, I'll be talking to the new child you're trying to be, cause we don't even know when we gonna go. Lying about pictures we don't wanna see.
All right, so as you can see, we're hitting like -1 to -3 as far as reduction, but it's not changing the tone, and that's why I like to use 2 limiters, because you can have one do something and then the next one do a little bit more. So that's the setting for this maximizer, and then the second one I used is Pro L. I don't like using true peak limiters, but here is a secret. If you oversample the Pro L to 8 times, it will catch more of the samples, and there's less chance that you will get overs on your final master. So it's kind of a way that I've found that I can still keep all my transients but not get too many overs. I might get an over here and there. I don't personally mind it, and I can't usually hear it. As long as I can't hear it, we're good. But this limiter is kind of like my true peak limiter, where it's catching just different spikes. I'll usually use modern mode, although I will switch to aggressive or all-arounder. And the attack and release usually works pretty well for this, because I'm not pushing this limiter much at all. And as I play it, we'll see that it's probably doing nothing.
It's a good day on a good life. Hear me out, I'll be talking to the new child you're trying to be, cause we don't even know.
All right, so as you guys can see, it's like -0.5, -0.2. And what that is just those extra peaks that the maximizer didn't catch. Even though I have my maximizer at -0.10 on the output, so it shouldn't peak, it still does, because I don't use true peak on here. So that's what my FabFilter Pro L is doing. And in the rare occasion that the Ozone can't get as loud as I need it to be, I will bring this up +1, +2 at the most, just to get a little bit extra loudness if I need it. So it could sometimes look something like this.
It's a good day on a good life. Hear me out, I'll be talking to the new child you're trying to be, cause we don't even know.
But for that, it just made the song way too loud and it just didn't need it. All right, so now you should have a solid handle on how to use a limiter like a pro, from understanding the difference between brickwall and true peak limiters to using multiple stages of limiting for more transparent results. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite limiter is. And if you would rather focus on just being creative and leaving the final polish to a pro, feel free to reach out to me at mixandmastermysong.com. Talk to you guys soon.